Hello. Before we start, let's have a look at where we're going to end up. So we're going to use a tool called TkInter, and the inter part of that, TK, means interface. And we're going to basically create an interface, and let's just run it, which allows us to see a title, a description, and I can load up a file. So I've got a little find file there, and I can put a file path in. I've got some text where I can put in a name for the file that I want it to be stored as, and a description, so multiple lines here where I can write something like this is a description. Now if you look down the bottom left hand corner here, it's blank at the moment, but when I click on the submit button, the TkInter closes down, and you can see I've got a file path there, I've got the file name and the description. This is a description. Okay, we'll get doing that, writing that in about a minute and a half. I just want to spend those 90 seconds or so to just talk about where we can find help about this. So you may want to leap forward. Probably the most helpful one is one within Wikipedia, which I haven't really looked at yet. So you can see there's the TK software. I've got the history of it, where it came from, some sort of TCL kind of stuff. Some references in there which actually are pretty good, really. They're nice to be able to review things and see where things are and the names for things. I've also got the docs.python.org. It's actually got huge amounts of information there. We're barely going to be scratching the surface of what it can do, but there is a lot in there. And there's some other ones, so that I just put it into a search engine and came up with on here, TK Docs, which even got some tutorials. Actually, the one I found most useful has always been the Stack Overflow. You've got to be careful because there's some older versions, and some of those questions basically, or the answers are no longer valid. So just make sure that these are ones which are in the last couple of years, and you'll probably be fine. But as with all these things, keep searching around, and you'll find someone will have had a similar problem to you, and therefore there will be a solution which will be applicable. Okay, enough wittering, let's get on and actually start mucking about with this. So this is the file which we're going to use, so let's just delete everything from there and we'll start again from scratch. Okay, Python, as it's loaded up here, hasn't got everything that I need. I need to be able to bring more stuff into it, so I need to be able to import, to extend what Python can do. So it's almost like if you're going on a holiday, you may go, well, actually, I've got to go to the garage and get some of my bucket and spades out. I'm going to ski holiday, I've got to go to the attic or the loft and go and get some skiing stuff. Okay, and what it will do, it'll basically extend what Python can do, so we can get it to do more. So I'm going to say, okay, from TkInter, import everything. So the star basically means everything within there. There's a number of different formats, a number of different ways we can type it out, but that basically says grab everything that you want and therefore have it accessible to your main part of code. They're pretty simple to create, really. I need to put it into a variable though, so I'm going to create a variable and I'm going to keep these as all lowercase, and this is going to allow me to create an instance of TkInter. Instance, we've looked at those. Well, it depends the order you're running this, whether you've looked at this within classes or not. But an instance is like a printed version of a document. It looks exactly like it, and behaves in exactly the same way, but it's not the original document. So what you want to be able to do is be able to say, well, actually, I've got to recognise that this is just a version, a copy of it, and that's really what an instance is. But it does all the things the original will do. So in effect, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an instance of that into my variable here, my window, which I'm going to keep all lowercase. And the reason for that is that my TkInter variables and words tend to have mixed case within them. As we'll see straight away when we kick off with this one, is the first command is going to have a capital T for TK within there. And then I'll just put open and close. I'm not going to put any arguments in there, but in effect I'm saying all the thing that TkInter can do, put that into a variable called my window. I need to load that up. So in effect, what I've got to do is I've got to say my window, and I'm going to create a thing called a loop here. So the thing is going to just keep running, so it won't stop. So I want it to be an infinite loop, which normally you'll want to avoid it getting into loop, but this time we want it to be in a loop. So I'm going to say main loop, and I don't have to put anything within there. Okay, I can run this one, and this rather sweet little window comes up, isn't it? It's great. There's nothing in there, it doesn't do anything, but it works like a window. It's a proper window. It's movable. You can resize it. You can drag the corners. You can minimize it. You can maximize it, or you can then close it by clicking on the cross, and it closes down. It's really easy, isn't it? So let's give it a title rather than just kind of sitting there with TK. So I'm going to say my underscore window, and then I can use some of the attributes within there. So I'll give the title, and what I'm going to say, I won't say hello world, let's say hello TkInter. That's a bit more polite, isn't it, in this particular case. Now if I run that, and there, hello TkInter appears on the title bar at the top. I don't actually have to close the little interface window this way. I can do it by another way. So if I go to the bottom sort of left-hand corner here, you can see that in fact it's still running, and I've got the kind of the red box there, and if I click on that one, it'll be the same as clicking on the cross, in effect stop running that main loop, which we're really interested in. Right, it comes in a rather annoying place, doesn't it? So let's position it. So I'm going to go to the my underscore window, and this time I'm going to create a typo, a geometry. And I can set the size of it so it rather comes in a bit small. So let's have that as 640 by 480. Now when I run it, that's a bit better. Oh, but it's still really in the way now. We want to move that. The system measures the positions of these things usually from the top left-hand corner. So I can basically say, if I say plus here 500, that'll be 500 from the left, and then plus 100 and 100 from the top. So I run this one, so that's about 500 pixels from the right and 100 from the top. If you want, you can do it from actually the bottom right hand corner of the screen, which is quite nice. So instead of saying the plus here, I could say minus, in which case I put minus for both of those, in which case it'll be 100 from the bottom and 500 from the right. I prefer working things in the top left. I've got used to working that way, so I'm going to set those to being pluses. Right, okay, it's not doing a lot, is it? So let's put something in there. So let's put something inside the actual window itself. I can do that actually in a number of different ways, but I'm going to create a thing called a widget. So I'm going to say my underscore label. So this is going to be a label type widget. Is going to equal, and then I'm going to say label, and within the label, so I basically have to say where that's going to go. And in fact, I want it to put it into my window, don't I? And then I would say, well, what text I want to have that in there. So this is of the type text, and therefore the text will equal, and of course in this, well, I'm going to take the opportunity to type hello world. Now when I run that one, it doesn't do anything. Now this works with quite a lot of things here. They need two things, and this is basically being created, but then I have to say, well, where's it going to go? So I've got this thing called my label, but the system wants to go, okay, I've got this, where do you want it? So there's a number of different ways of sort of placing things. One of them is called pack. I don't like pack very much. It's like in the old printing days, or actually in early HTML for web pages, you have to put spaces in front of something to get it shift along into the right position, and I find it very hard to work with. Luckily there's an alternative which we can use. So the other way, which is I guess of the main one, is a thing called grid, which I find quite easy to use. We're not going to do a lot with it at this point. We'll look at that at a later lesson, but basically I'm just going to say, right, position that, and by default that's going to appear in the top left hand corner, so I won't worry about anything within that. So I run this one, in the top left hand corner I've got my hello world within it. Wow, how incredibly easy. So we're importing the TkInter, and we are loading up that into a variable, and then putting a title, positioning it, giving it a particular size, putting some text in there, and getting it running around within a loop. So have a muck about with that, and best of luck with it. Okay, thank you for listening.